The topic will discuss about the recent passage of the Telecommunications Bill 2023 in the Parliament that marks a significant milestone in reshaping India's telecom regulatory framework. Recently, the Telecommunications Bill 2023 received the assent of the President, and the bill has now been enacted into law. The Act will replace three archaic laws such as the Telegraph Act of 1885, the Indian Wireless Telegraphy Act of 1933, and the Telegraph Wires Unlawful Possession Act 1950. It aims to consolidate the law for wireless networks and internet service providers and simplify the process of application for licenses and permits for telecom operators. About Telecommunications Act 2023. The Act governs authorization of telecommunication networks and services, provides for auctioning as well as administrative allocation of spectrum, and defines the mechanism for exercising the right-of-way for laying telecom infrastructure such as cables in public as well as private property. It also spells out emergency measures the government can take in the interest of national security and public safety, such as intercept messages, suspend telecommunications services, as well as take temporary possession of any telecommunications service or network. The Act also states that rules will be framed to protect consumers with the setting up of a Do Not Disturb register to ensure they don't receive a specified class of messages without prior consent. Requires prior authorization from the central government for telecommunication services, network operations, and possession of radio equipment. Spectrum to be assigned through auction except for specified purposes allocated administratively. Grants powers for interception, monitoring, or blocking of messages on specified grounds related to public safety or emergencies. Suspension of telecom services under similar circumstances. Allows measures to protect users, including prior consent for specified messages and mechanisms for reporting malware. Mandates entities to establish online grievance redressal mechanisms. Entities laying telecom infrastructure can seek a right-of-way on public or private property on a non-discriminatory basis. Men's Try Act for appointments, allowing individuals with substantial professional experience to serve as chairperson or members. Retains Universal Service Obligation Fund, renaming it Digital Bharat Nidhi, allowing its use for research and development. Specifies criminal and civil offences with associated penalties for unauthorized activities. Central government appoints adjudicating officers for inquiries and orders against civil offences, ensuring accountability. Concerns over the Act. According to critics, the new Telecommunications Act 2023 is draconian and provides a legal architecture for mass surveillance and internet shutdowns. Most of the contentious provisions are contained in Chapter 4, which grants emergency powers to the central government in the interest of public safety and national security. Section 19 empowers the central government to notify standards and conformity assessment measures in respect of encryption and data processing in telecommunication, which has raised eyebrows given that most internet communication is increasingly being pushed towards encryption to evade national state surveillance programs. All users have to be identified through the use of verifiable biometric-based identification as may be prescribed by telecommunications service providers. No user shall furnish any false particulars or suppress material information. This could impede whistleblowers as well as journalists who operate under anonymity. If users fail to comply, they will be charged a hefty penalty from 25,000 rupees to 1 lakh rupees for some provisions. The government's interest in breaking up encryption of WhatsApp and Signal has to be seen in the backdrop of a controversy over Israeli company NSO Group's Pegasus spyware targeting 300 mobile phone numbers for illegal surveillance, including those of serving ministers in the ruling government, opposition leaders, lawyers, activists, and journalists. It also allows the central or a state government, during a public emergency, including disaster management, and in the interest of public safety, to take temporary possession of any telecommunications service or network. It can take over control and management of such services or networks. it can intercept messages on the pretext of preventing incitement to the commission of any offence, and direct suspension of telecommunication services in such circumstances like the shutdown of internet seen in Manipur and Jammu and Kashmir. Press messages too can be intercepted or stalled in these circumstances. Telecom industry on the bills. Digital Infrastructure Providers Association and Cellular Operators Association of India welcome uniformity across states. Indian Space Association appreciates the inclusion of satellite-based communication networks for spectrum allocation. The authority to suspend the internet has been granted, without dwelling over procedural safeguards recommended by the Supreme Court, as well as the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Information Technology. It is feared that these measures will impact human rights as well as trust in digital services offered in the Indian market. The groups had, therefore, demanded that the bill be withdrawn in its current form, while awaiting passage from Parliament to get the assent of the President of India.